Oh, sorry. Didn't notice you guys there. Oh my God. YZ250F 2016 review. Okay. Yeah. Never made a video like this before, but let's get it, boy. Got the T over here. Way over here in Texas. Don't worry. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to be really showing myself too much in this video. Just going to be talking about this beautiful beast of a monster of a absolutely legendary machinery, take you to the moon and back. Yeah, that's it. So wanted to come in here and talk about it, just kind of explain some of the different stuff I've found basically with this 2016 YZ250F, and just giving you a little backstory. Like, I have a 2004 YZ125, I've had 2007 YZ250F, 252 strokes. I've had high compression pistons on 250Fs. I've had 144 kits on 125s. You know, I've basically been all the way around the world when it comes to like different powers and stuff like that. I've rode 450s. Got a pretty good idea on like how bikes feel, like older bikes, somewhat newer bikes and stuff. So this is completely stock right here, and it's barely been rode. I think I've got like maybe 2 oil changes on this thing total. So she is definitely still a freshie for sure, but you can see all this back fender bendage and back fender bender and front fender scratchy. Yeah, that was let's just not even talk about that. Yeah, okay. Thank God I'm still alive. Papa bless. But yeah, so all right, so a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, well, what's the power of the bike? You know, everybody wants to always say, oh, is it as fast as this, or is it as fast as that, or whatever. And pretty much the only way to explain it is, with a lack of better wordage here, this thing will rip you out of your underwear, dog, like, without a doubt. And I think part of that is obviously the fuel injection and me not riding with that. You know, all my other bikes are not fuel injection, so that in itself definitely plays a part. But I think just these Yamahas in general have a lot of bottom end power, man. They are not lacking in that area whatsoever. So that's something just to keep in mind. You know, this is not like a mellowed out Honda 250F or something like that. This thing's, it will giddy on up. I mean, like, man, I'm telling you, it will give you whiskey throttle feelings. Like, if you are just sitting there and you go from 0 throttle to full blast, rip it wide open throttle, this thing will rip right out of your hands, like, without a doubt. And depending on if you have a new back tire, you know, I'm telling you, dog, she'll go. Like, I would say, if you're not to that, like, really fast amateur level or pro level, you really don't need to be adding any sort of performance parts to this bike. It is a full race bike package. Like, there's no reason to really do much more to it at that level. So, like, you know, 95% of people that buy this bike are not really gonna need to put anything new on it or modify it. I mean, you know, a lot of people will, but they really don't have to. I'm telling you right now, it's the full package. It's the full deal. Handlebars fit the bike really well. You know, it gives you that good, like, stand-up riding position coming into the corners. You guys know sometimes when you get a new stock bike, the handlebars feel all weird and stuff. So, but this bike, I actually really enjoyed the handlebars on it. Now, this is a full-blown stock bike. Other than the grips, that's the only thing that I've changed. I'm pretty sure everybody and their grandmother has changed the grips on a stock bike because of those crazy hard black, you know, super tough grips that they put on there, but they absolutely shred your hands up, and it makes the bike feel like it's got super stiff suspension. I like this these soft grips on it. I've just always been that way. But as far as everything else on this puppy, she's totally stock. Everything. I'm talking everything to the, even the handlebar like position and all that, all of it's stock, every bit of it. The levers are like basically stock position on where they came. Stock wheels, rims, everything, tires, everything about it. Suspension, everything stock on it. And from all the bikes that I've rode, racing old, you know, 2007 250S with modified stuff on them and all that, really, like, I think a lot of people modify their bikes when they really don't need to. You know, a lot of people get that thought in their head like, well, it needs this or it needs that, or I need to put this on it, or whatever the case may be. And the majority of the time, I feel like one thing you need to understand is with a stock bike, everything's working together. So you need to be careful. A lot of times people will go in there and change one little aspect of it, and then it'll change the whole system of the bike. You know, like you'll go in there and change this, then you need race fuel, or you'll go in there and change that, then you need this thing to make it run with that. And it's all a system, you know. So I feel like if the stock bike doesn't need anything, there's no sense in adding anything to it, because it all works together. But the cool thing about Yamaha is they have the whole GYTR system to it, which is like modified parts, tons of any kind of modified part just about that you could imagine to put on a dirt bike. You can get all that like from Yamaha. Basically it's like their GYTR sort of system, so you can get all that and it'll all work as a system, but a modified system if you're wanting a modified Yamaha in that sense. But I'm telling you, bro, like, I mean, I'm being honest, and I've been riding dirt bikes long enough to know this. Like, this thing doesn't need anything. It doesn't need anything. You could ride on a supercross track with this bike, I feel like. Like, seriously, you could. The suspension of it is, when you first get on it, it's going to feel a little bit on the stiff side if you're used to, like, you know, trying to make your suspension feel really, really good on a track. A lot of people have a little bit softer suspension for motocross and just amateurs in general, but then you're not going to be able to hit whoops as good. You know, you're not going to be able to go over that kind of stuff and really, like, hit peaked out arena cross jumps as well. But this bike is set up from the ground up for it. Like, I'm talking, I don't have any clickers changed, nothing, and I feel like I could literally get on a supercross track and try to hit a whoop section, or try to hit a triple rhythm section, or whatever, you know. It's or an arena cross track or whatever. I rode on quite a few of those and raced on those. So right, like, it may feel a little stiffer when you first get on it and feel like, ooh, I don't really know about this, but it's stiff like that because you can actually over jump stuff with this bike. You can over jump this thing way farther. Like, I've got a CRF 230 like street and trail bike, right, and it feels really good. Like, if you're just riding on a flat surface, or you're like in the woods or whatever, you know, that really soft suspension feels good. But I can jump about 30 times as far on this bike right here than I can my 230 Honda street and trail bike, right? So that's the difference, you know. But it's not just like stiff in the sense of jagged and janky, and like where if you hit any kind of roughness, it's just going to bounce the front end away from you. It's not like that. You know, it has a plushness to it, but also a stiffness to it. It just feels good. That's really the only way to explain it. But yeah, dude, I mean, not only just the way the bike feels, man, I mean, the look of it. Like, I mean, good God, bro. Just look at it. Can you just look at it? Would you just look at it? Just look at it. I mean, can you just look at it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, does it get any more, like, bad to the bone? Like, I don't know what it is about this bike, but it looks like a race bike to me. Like, it literally looks like, if I just take a step back, okay, and I just start walking up to this thing, right, it feels like I'm walking up to one of the pros' bikes in a supercross race or something. That's literally what this thing looks like, man. It doesn't even look like a stock bike, even though it's 100% stock minus the grips. Like, that's crazy, dude. And I think a big part of that, it looks like 2009 James Stewart, like, race Yamaha bike, man. That's exactly what this looks like. That's what's crazy about it. But it's a stock bike. It's just insane, man. You know, a lot of times your stock bikes will kind of have a bit of a different look. They don't look like super modified. They don't look like an actual race bike. This thing's like legit and a half, bro, as far as the look of it. It's got the stance. It's got just the overall look. Like, I don't know how to explain it. The blacked out rims, some of the little, you know, plastic parts and stuff are blacked out, gives it more of that mean look to it. But I really love the way this bike just looks from the outside. I think it's one of the best stock bikes that's ever been created. And I'm not just saying that because it's my bike. Like, I have a lot of different bikes. I have stock, you know, 2007 250F, I had that, 2004 125, 2005 252 stroke, CRF 230, and I've seen, you know, a plethora of the way stock bikes look on the internet and stuff, but this right here, and I even think this looks better than some of the newer YZ250Fs, like the 2018s and stuff. They've got the blue rims on them now and gives them a bit of a weird look. I think the black rims is perfection on this bike right here. There's just something about it, man. I don't know. It's definitely got it going on. But yeah, so basically this bike is right about the time when all of the other companies were going to the actual air forks, but Yamaha was the only company to keep it on spring forks. And that's one of the biggest reasons I bought this bike, is because not only the fact that I was really into Yamaha, but also the fact that they were sticking to the spring forks things. You know, I was hearing all the issues Suzuki was having with the air forks, and that's what's funny about it. Suzuki's actually gone back to spring forks. They went to air forks, now they're back to spring forks. So Yamaha just skipped all that and was like, hey, we're just going to continue to give you this super reliable spring fork filling, and that's what you get. You know, you don't have to worry too much about the settings. You don't have to go in there and change your handlebars. That's going to fit 99% of people out there. It's just a solid package, dude. It is a race bike from stock is what it is. It's got some downright amazing bottom end, torquey pull, power, rip you out of your seat. Almost feels like a two-stroke. And I hate to say it, because God dang it, I'm a two-stroke lover. And I know you just can't replicate the feeling of a two-stroke, you know, the power band of it. But when you go from like not fuel injection 4-stroke to fuel injection, it makes you feel like you're riding a 4-stroke 2-stroke. And I know it sounds so weird, but that's the difference. The power of it's so much snappier. The actual throttle response itself is where you notice the biggest difference. Like if you're going from a 07 250F to like a 16 250F, that's what you're going to notice the biggest difference on, is just that initial oomph, you know, that rip you out of your underwear, bro. Like, this bike will do it. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to, man. But yeah, 2-strokes are still different, right? It's got more of that torquey feel, 4-stroke feel. But man, if you got a fresh back tire on this dang thing, man, it gonna go. It gonna go, whether or not you're ready for it or not, you know. Like I'm saying, to ride this thing to its full potential, you're just about at a pro or a super high amateur, damn near pro level as it is anyways. I'm just telling you, and I've rode dirt bikes long enough to know that. Like, I realize, you know, like some of my older bikes, how the suspension would be on like a 2007 bike and an 04 bike and stuff like that. And just the power of it and everything, and kind of how fast you can dip and dive into corners. The easiest way to explain this bike is it's more capable. Its capability of going faster is way higher in every way. Like, I don't know what it is, if it's the ergonomics of it, or if it's the suspension, or the power, or the wheel placement. I don't know exactly what all it is, but you can just tell as soon as you get on this thing, man. Like, you can corner, like, I don't even know how to explain it. The bike just moves right, you know. It moves right around the track, and that's basically all it comes down to, man. But yeah, it is it's just if I could pick any bike, even right now, any 250 out there, this is what I would ride, like, period. I really wanted to buy 2 of these things, man. That way I kind of had 2 of them and, you know, 1 spare on the side to really, like, seriously start racing it. And by the way, I'm going to be getting back to some riding videos and stuff. Sorry for not doing that. I don't even want to sit there and try to make excuses about it, but yeah, basically life happens and that's what happens. I hate to be that guy that says that, because everybody says that, and it's one of those things. It's like, if you really want to ride bad enough, you can go ride, right? Like, I don't know, it's hard to do it when you're a farmer, because it's like right at the time that you're farming is the time that you need to be riding, and the time that you're not farming is the time that you're not riding, so it makes it really difficult. But yeah, dude, hell of a bike. I definitely recommend getting it if you're, you know, I mean, the only new thing they've really added with like the 2017 and 18 YZ250Fs is going to be your electric start. they might have made really small changes to the like the suspension, you know, maybe very, very small stuff. They're still decent. 2018 to 17s. One thing is you're gonna have blue rims on them. But this bike right here, I noticed the difference from like 2015 to 16. This one has the bigger, I think it's like the bigger front brake caliber or whatever the hell. It's like bigger front brake disc. I don't know exactly everything on it, but you can basically brake like really, really hard on the front with this bike. Like it's fully race ready. There's nothing you really have to add to it, like I'm saying. You know, this is kind of like if a beginner wanted to start riding on a supercross track, he could do it on this bike right here and wouldn't have to worry so much about like adjusting little settings and all that. It's set up for just about anything. You know, you can hit 200-foot jumps on this thing. You can flatland a 100-foot jump. Like, it's legit. It's legit. You know, that's the only way to explain it. It can do a lot of stuff, man. So yeah, I mean, overall, I don't know what else I would add to this thing, honestly. Power's awesome. Like, I've gotten it, you know, rev limiter tapped out fourth, fifth. I don't think I've ever actually done it in fifth gear. I think I've done it in fourth gear. Haven't really been on a track where I could get it in fifth like that, but I have been on the rev limiter in fourth gear, and it's just got this like really amazing, almost NOS power feeling to it, you know. Very smooth. It's smooth power, dog. But yeah, that's basically the way it is. Just real smooth all the way through, other than the bottom end. Obviously, it's going to be a little wicked, but if you're just talking about smoothness from like mid to top end, it's got that. It does have a little bit of that smooth feeling. But you can get it up in that rev limiter, and my 2007 yz250F doesn't even have a rev limiter. Peep that shit, dog. Doesn't even have one. So I've been riding with a 250F that didn't even have a rev limiter forever, and then this one does. So it's interesting. You got to be on it pretty hard to get it in the rev limiter. Like, it won't do it if you're just on it. But you got to be on it, you know, like really ripping that mother trucker to get it really to rev out like that. But yeah, dude, I like all of the aesthetics of all this kind of stuff. Oil's only been changed in this thing twice, so it's basically still brand new. Honestly, like, it's just the way it is. It's just been sitting there for like 2 years. So yeah, man, it's a solid package all the way around. That's all there really is to say to it, man. You got the bigger front brake, got the right power, handlebars feels right, awesome spring suspension, forks, back suspension feels great. Didn't feel like I needed to change anything on it. And I've been riding a lot of different kind of bikes before, man. smoking, baby. Later, dudes.